need business leaders, not excuses. So listen, learn, and go do it. This is the Biz Tools Podcast. Now, just two guys, a girl, and a lot of caffeine. It's David Specht, Sean Green, and Molly Corbett.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Biz Tools Podcast. I am one of your three hosts, Sean Green, and then the guy to my right is the one who normally does the intro, David Specht.
Hello. This show is brought to you by the letter O.
For offensive.
Sure, that's the O we were going for.
Not offensive.
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 Okay.
And then across from me is the birthday girl, Molly Corbett.
Hi.
She's turning 25 this year.
Yes. Very glad to be
25.
Very glad to be turning 25.
That's the story, and we're sticking to it.
All right.
So we've already alluded to.
Eluded?
I don't know.
Is it eluded or
I don't know.
eluded?
I'm not smart enough to know. I grew up in the South. We're going to talk about things that offend us.
Yes. Let's call it the offensive episode,
It is
shall we?
offensive. Yeah. Well,
Let's be offensive this episode.
okay. Problem solved. Here we go.
Sean's like right in my wheelhouse.
Yep.
No, but let's talk about this. I believe that 2015 is going to go down as the year everyone got offended about something. Yeah. And in business, and all of us are in business for one reason or another, we got to be real careful because it's like you can offend somebody without even trying. I mean, just by being who you are. And I'm not talking about crossing a line, just simply,
existing,
you're offensive. And maybe it dates back, we've kind of gone down the path of political correctness to where, every step that you take, somebody has to take one more step. And now it's kind of starting to get a little bit ridiculous on some fronts. I don't know. As a conservative guy, I'm not, I don't get my knickers in a wad as much as a lot of people do about what folks say or do.
Thanks for that visual.
Yeah.
Well, people offend me all the time with their stupidity, and I don't mean that in what's the word I'm looking for?
A combative way?
No, not even really so much that. So much as in a.
He's not making a joke. They literally. Yeah, their stupidity offends you.
Well, people being offended generally display their stupidity and what they're offended by, which is a weird catch-22. But no, I don't mean it in a very like a superior sense. I'm not being a jackass. I think a lot of people are dumb.
Oh no, I agree, and it's even more annoying when they don't realize it.
Unself-aware people,
right? And then I vacillate between you poor thing, and my God, you stupid effing idiot.
You can say it. It's okay.
Yes. Sean knows that I'm
offensive.
I'm censoring
it's an offensive
myself.
episode.
I landed me a marlin.
But I do think that this is really this is the next logical step from being such a litigious society.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like that word. You like that word?
Yeah.
Litigious.
It's a good word.
Brought to you by Kick 'em, Beat 'em, and Scratch 'em. Attorneys at law.
Kick 'em, beat 'em, and
Morris
scratch 'em.
Bart.
Don't give him any more airtime.
Oh, dang it! He needs to pay for that.
Yeah, he does. He can send a check to 42. No, but I mean, I just people offend me with the fact that they're offended because they're usually offended by the dumbest.
I know.
I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I am all for gay equality. Okay, so I say that as a Christian, and we can debate that if you want in the comment section of the show notes.
There you go.
Or ask it.
We might actually generate some comments.
Yeah,
Finally, yay!
Yeah.
I think we will actually generate some comments.
But at the same time, the debate about putting girls' clothes and boys' clothes together in a department store because you don't want to discriminate against the LGBT community.
Right.
Oh, shut the like seriously.
Well, I mean, at some point, it's like I think really from the LGBT standpoint. Well, not even LGBT. I just think from the transgender standpoint.
Yeah.
I think transgender would just like to be left to live in peace. They don't need all the shifts in clothing and putting,
this is shining a brighter light on them.
Yes.
I think the point is that they want to just walk to a department store and buy whatever clothes they want to buy.
And be the gender they feel born into.
Right.
That's all they want.
But now you're inconveniencing me as a just a normal person because I don't want to have to plow through women's clothing
Right.
to find the shirt that I want.
Well, it's not practical.
No,
I mean,
it's
there's a different
organization.
Are we going to have the buttons all on one side now because they have
I know.
the different?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you guys! Totally.
Oh, no.
I was putting Jackson's belt on him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. Now, when I put my belt on, I go on this side.
So, and I'm staring
Now-
at him, so it's on the wait.
Oh, let me tell you, it was a good 5-minute ordeal, and we don't have that kind of time when the bus is on the way. You know what I'm saying? So I was in a mess.
And Jackson's like, Mom.
All he's thinking of is, it's too tight. I'm not gonna be able to get it down when I gotta pee.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, and let's call it what it is. Target has jumped out there.
Yeah.
And they're a business,
I've got mixed feelings.
and I understand some of the thinking behind it.
Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment.
But when does it stop?
No, I really,
Yeah.
There's got to be the law of common sense. I guess it needs to take over. But I will tell you, when I'm in the line at McDonald's, which is not very often,
Good for you.
but I'm usually there just to buy a toy. I don't like Jackson to eat McDonald's because it's not good for him. But I will buy him the toy, and I say it with such guilt. Could I please have a toy for a boy? Because you've got to make a choice.
Right.
He wants a
Still do that, huh?
particular toy.
Yeah.
And the only other way
It's the
to
cussing
say
minion. He wants the cussing minion.
right. The only way to get that point across is to say, okay, which one am I going to say? If I don't know what the toy is,
Yeah.
I have to choose one side or the other, toy for a boy, toy for a girl. Now, if I know it's Minions, I'll say, can I get the Minion? Or
Right.
can I get, pretty dancing Barbie pony or whatever, it is.
Well,
maybe he
And I'm
wants
going to be
that.
honest. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes he does want the girl toy.
Well,
I mean,
And he loves to play with all kinds of
they're
my
toys.
wife
action figures.
But I
They're
have
not dolls.
I have to make that choice.
Side note.
Gee, I wonder what he's referring to. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, just we'll pan over behind
Action
Molly
fingers.
and show. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, everybody wave to YouTube. Hi,
yeah,
YouTube.
We're filming for
There we
YouTube.
go.
Hello, YouTube. All of you. Well, my wife played with Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She was
G.I.
not.
Joe.
Yeah, but nobody was ridiculed for playing with Ninja Turtles.
No.
Nobody was ridiculed. Maybe a little ridicule on the Barbie side, but
now we're drawing attention to it because
yeah.
people are thinking that we should be offended by it, which in turn offends me because
Yeah.
don't tell me what I should be offended by.
Right.
I said the F word like 3 times in
You
this. I
haven't.
So
probably
you
offended-
pretty much offended the entire audience,
Man,
I'm sure.
I think
Yeah.
Sean's really kind of bent today. I don't know.
I
why.
am.
Yeah. Well, he didn't get his froster.
No,
so.
I didn't. It
And
melted.
let me tell you how grateful. Circle K, you need to call us.
Hey,
Call me.
we need sponsors. But they, it's just don't tell me what I should be offended by, and I can't speak. Lord knows I cannot speak for any other race or sexual orientation or faith. Yeah, but I do know that I mean I have black friends. I have like 2 black friends.
Here we go.
But
dear
my
Jesus.
point
There's
is,
a line. We're teetering on it.
but I'll
Dear
ask
Jesus.
them.
Yeah.
Are you offended by what society tells us
Right.
you're offended by? And they've explained to me, and I've heard, it was on the radio, they were talking to, I can't remember, it was a radio show and it had a black co-host, and they said, are you offended by it? And it was not a conservative show or anything like that.
Right.
And he was like, no.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's worse because it's like media's tell me what I should be offended by.
Well,
Don't
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
me what I should be offended by.
Well, not just that. In the fear of offense, we are losing cultural differences. We can't have a cultural difference now.
Right.
We
And
all have
that's
to
a
be on
shame.
we all have to be
Homogenized.
beige.
Can't have that.
There's no colors. We all have to be beige.
No, I
Yeah.
love the vive la différence. I think, wow, look at me.
Yeah,
She's so
ooh.
French. We're
I
probably
speak in
offended to
French.
France.
Probably because they hate
Sac-
the way we pronounce their
Sacre
language.
bleu.
Well, they'll just.
But I had
surrender.
back in the Paula Deen debacle. I caught that. Back in if my father's listening, he'll love it. The Paula Deen debacle. I was standing in line at my favorite Dollar General, and there's some culture at Dollar General.
Oh yes, yes.
And this little lady was
offends
looking at
the,
her
dollar
her magazine.
buyers, by the way.
Shut up. Was looking at a little magazine, and I asked her. And she was African American, and I don't know her, but I've seen her. We're I keep hitting equipment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are.
But I've seen her a couple times at our Dollar General together, and I said I got to know because I was deeply offended by Paula Deen and the words that she had used. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I came from people who use that kind of language. That's right, Mama, I said it. And like my mama's listening to this.
Again, I grew up in the South.
But you know what? She was not. And I asked her, are you as offended by her as I am? I would really like to know your opinion. And she accepted my question with the grace with which I intended it. Thank God. Because, I mean, sometimes when you ask people questions like that, and it is across a race barrier, you don't know what you're going to get. And you need to really judge before you ask a question, because it can be deemed an offensive question, right?
Yeah, just asking the question.
Right. Yeah. So, but she was like, you know what? I'm not offended by her. We all grew up with people who were doing the best they could and made mistakes, and that was one of them. And she said, you know, there are people in my family who have said unkind things about whites before, and I don't feel that way about whites. And so it was just a real strong and impactful learning lesson. Lady redundant woman for me. Learning experience for me.
L squared.
That was a word girl reference.
Molly loves alliterations.
Yeah, getting back to where we are, though, as a country, what are y'all's thoughts on if you run a business, if you're in sales, you know, and pretty much everybody's in sales, whether they admit to it or not. How do you handle this? How do you run your business not knowing who you may offend?
Well, I think the first rule there is there's a really basic good piece of advice, and that's if it's religion or politics, keep it off the table. Just don't go there.
Right.
And then you don't have to bridge that gap.
Right.
But that's not enough to keep you safe anymore.
No, I got a story. Can I tell my story?
I know you're itching to tell.
And you'll know the story once you start hearing me tell it.
I'm excited.
About a year ago.
Oh, I know exactly what story
I
you're
think
gonna
yeah.
I do too.
Magazine ran some pictures that we were given permission to run in an edition that was focused on millennials.
Right.
And there were some we didn't know who the people were in it, so we didn't run any captions. We just, you know,
Which was a no-no.
yeah.
Fair.
Oh, yeah. We were in the wrong there. And one of the people who was in a photo was offended. Not only offended that her image was used without her permission or knowledge, but because there was no caption. And then but what was funny was that it was taking even additional steps. And the question was, she was a woman of color, and she was like, why are there no other people of color in here? And I'm thinking, where is this coming from? And I was getting spun up, and I called the person who gave me permission for the photo, said, what is going on here? Long story short, I set up a meeting to meet with her and the photographer. We all know who that is. And I deliberately, and I hope Molly can back me up on this. I deliberately went in with great humility and great, very apologetic,
most definitely,
about it. To, you know, because even though it was not my intent to offend, even though nothing, you know, even entered the thing, I felt I had done, you know, due diligence. It didn't matter. This person was offended, and I need to take care of the situation.
Yeah, and the offense came from things that had nothing to do with you. I mean, that was a catalyst or a trigger for it.
Right.
But this particular individual, I know for a fact, has had her photograph used before because she was the pretty black girl in the space.
Oh, see?
So there's a history there.
Right. And everything has layers.
But I'm going to tell you what, and it does with all of us.
Yeah.
But I will say in that moment, and David, you and I did not know each other very well at that moment. And to your credit, I mean, you handled that. I learned how to better handle a situation like that simply by being with you in that room and watching you deal with her. And this person is actually very close to me. In fact, I may have just come from lunch with her.
Maybe.
I may
Perhaps.
Well,
and she speaks so highly of how you handled yourself in that situation, and of how it has a lot to do with other situations that have happened like that, because she is a very prominent girl about town,
out there,
a professional that's
top-notch person,
right? You know, she gets used in that way quite a bit.
But the three of us at the time,
that was not the way it was being. That's not the way she was being used.
No, and the whole situation was three people who really didn't know each other,
right?
And so your brain's just going nuts about what's the intent, what's the this, what's the that,
right?
And so going in there.
But the thing was that you went in knowing, I didn't caption these photos, B, this person is very upset and probably has cause to be upset. And so you went in with contrition.
Yeah.
And because of that, and because you weren't combative and weren't confrontational, didn't come in with your hackles raised, if you will.
Right.
It allowed. I think the problem we get into is that a lot of people, and it comes from experience, are assholes. And they run their business a certain way and have always run their business a certain way.
And you're not going to change how they run their business.
Right. And they think they deserve to be able to act a certain way.
Yep, sense of entitlement.
Well, and it's on all sides. It's on all sides.
Yeah.
Look at your Facebook feed, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah, no question.
But, I think, let's get back to LGBT. When the Supreme Court made it the law of the land that same-sex couples could marry in every state.
Right.
Now we've got the clerk of courts going, it's against my religious beliefs and I'm just not going to do it, da-da-da. Well, first off, that's not your job. If it's against your religious beliefs, quit your job.
Right.
I'm an evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
It's all one thing to say you believe something, but if you truly have a problem with that based on your core values as a Christian, then you shouldn't have been working that job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is, sister.
And one of the things that came out shortly after that in Louisiana, probably other states, but I got this email from the Press Association.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that they were surveying us, saying, how would we handle them? And I told, no, they called me. He called me,
wanting to know how we'd handle.
And I said, we'll handle it like every other wedding announcement.
Wedding announcements.
Yeah, I said, I'll handle it like every other wedding announcement.
It's
news. Are you
news.
sure?
Yeah,
publish it.
Yeah, it's community news. We'll publish it.
Right.
And so
we're not going to blow it up, put it on page one, but we're not going to go.
We're going to handle it like
the
every
gays
other
want their. No, thank you. And if somebody has a problem, with it, I'm more than we, because I don't handle it. We are more than willing to discuss it with them, and they can, if it really offends that person that bad, then I suppose they can take their business elsewhere. But I'm going to tell you, I would assume most papers are going to handle it the same way.
Yeah,
right.
They're people.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't.
Do you get offended when the person who's on their 5th freaking marriage is getting married again? Okay, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there.
They have very different themes.
I won't get offended about gay
was a
marriage,
summer
but I'm not
wedding,
offended
one
about
was fall.
Adultery or bigamy or
These colors were pink and blue.
swingers. So
Oh.
yeah,
No
yeah,
need to end.
yeah. I'm just saying.
Does that exist?
A dozen in one hand, 12 in
And
the
how
other.
do you know?
Huge swinging community in Shreveport.
Shh, no.
Oh, we're not supposed to talk about that. I'm sorry. I take it all back.
I'm offended.
I take it all back.
We'll bleep out Shreveport.
Yeah.
I'm going to approach it with contrition.
And with that, it's time for the Biz Tools
Thank
Week.
God. Quick.
Ox in the ditch. Ox in the ditch.
Oh my God! If that's not a Sunday school
You
reference,
were
I'll hush.
derailing. Shut up, Richard.
Let's. Okay.
Okay, center.
Settle.
So we're going to talk about SlideShare, huh?
Yeah, SlideShare.
Tell me all about it.
Speaking of swinging, no.
Oh God!
God,
We were
moved
so
on.
close. We were so close.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Tell me about SlideShare. I don't know anything about it. What is that?
Do you like PowerPoint, Sean?
No.
Well, then you don't care.
Okay, bye.
SlideShare.
It's so true. We've
Bye.
lost Sean.
Yeah, how many have enjoyed a presentation?
I love a good presentation.
Good presentation. You're like, man, I wish I could still watch it.
Especially visually driven.
Yes, and so SlideShare is a repository,
Right.
which really sounds bad, but it's a place where people can store
Not
their.
that kind of repository.
Thank you. Where they can store their PowerPoints, Keynote, whatever.
Right.
And you can share it for everybody to see, and it's like clicking on a different image, and each side would come up, and you just upload it, and not only can you share yours, but you can see others.
Right.
And so there might be a slide, presentation that has to do with something that you want to talk to your team about.
Sure.
And instead of having to build your own PowerPoint, you can log into SlideShare and find something that's similar and make use of that material.
Well, how many times have you been at a conference or a seminar and somebody had a fantastic slide presentation and you're like, I can either sit here and photograph every single one with my phone and never look at it, Or I can go find it on SlideShare, ask them to upload it there, or see if it is uploaded, and then you get to have that you have access to it at your disposal whenever. It's inspirational. I mean, I love seeing those kinds of things after the fact, because it reminds me of the inspiration that it brought. It
triggers the memory.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
Another thing that we've done at thebiztools.com, we have a millennials course that's for sale for only $49.99.
Is that all? $49.99?
Yes, and we use SlideShare for the presentation part.
Nice.
We have a video that you can watch and listen to. We have an ebook, but we also have a SlideShare that can blow up to the full screen, and they can present it to their teams.
Oh, I love it.
And so that was the easiest third-party solution that we could find to do what we wanted to do, because these folks wanted, when somebody buys a course like that, they're not just buying it for themselves. They want to share it with their team, share it with their sales crew. With their, in the case of the millennial thing, everybody thinks that, east is east, west is west, never the twain shall meet. And understanding that, you get them all in the room and they go through the presentation,
right?
And they're like, "Oh, we're not that different after all."
Yeah.
And so that's really why we did it. But yeah, SlideShare is a great tool for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's another thing that I like about it is that it's like an intellectual bank, because some of the people that are uploading, Gary Vaynerchuk is uploading. There's some real heavy hitters,
and they're really cool SlideShares. That's the thing.
Then you're like, you have to up your game. It's like you don't have an excuse. So listen, let me tell you, if you don't want to have to up your game, don't go look at SlideShare, because you're going to feel really bad about your PowerPoint.
There are no bullet points there. There's no little beep, beep.
They don't slide in from the left. You're kidding.
No. Oh, Lord.
Boy,
bad
we've
memories,
all seen
bad
some
memories.
doozies. I know. I know it.
But for those of you who aren't aware of it, it's at slideshare.com. It's free. There may be some subscription ones. I'm not sure. The ones I've always looked at have been free. It's kind of like a social media for presentations. And again, at the very least, it'll give you inspiration for your own. So
yeah, definitely.
Well, with that, we're going to conclude this episode of the Biz Tools Podcast. If you're not offended and choose to listen to us next week, we will see you next time.
Got questions? Post them in the comment section of the show notes. We'll answer them. Find out more at thebiztools.com/thepodcast. Until next time, applied knowledge is power.